This video is about a quick introduction or a demo of the WP43C, and I want to first of all start with what it is. What's the point of all this? And the history of this is that I've been following the WP43S calculator development since, 5 years or whatever, where it's been talk and development, where Walter has been proposing this specification without the platform, and then eventually the platform arrived, and when it did arrive, then things started to happen. The specification changed a little bit and improved, and what's even more, there's an emulator now, and you can actually load these alpha versions on your DM42 to see what's happening. Of course, if you take the main project, which is the WP43S, you take that and you load it into your DM42, then of course you'll all of a sudden find that your operator keys are on the wrong side of on the calculator. And if that's your cup of tea and you want that, and you have cut your teeth on the first ones, the 25 and 67 and whatever the other good ones they were. I've only personally handled the 67 when I was a kid, and learned programming on the 67. I really loved it. But after that, I went to school, went to college, went through a whole lot. I had a 15C, which I sold very quickly because I didn't like it a lot. And then the 28C, the 48, I got the 32S2. I got made a few of the WP34S's, converted them to 34Cs as well for other reasons. Anyway, point is, long story short, I don't like my operators here, and I don't like them there. I like them here. Like them the way that the more modern calculators are, and that doesn't take anything away from anybody that wants it differently. The only difference is that I also don't want to go make a label for my the template for my DM42 until sometime when it's actually final and all that. So I want to be able to use and test the DM42. Using the DM42 hardware, I'm going to test the WP43S software, and I can't do that. So therefore I had to embark on a process to change these things around. So first things, I changed the operators around, and then one thing led to the other, and I got good response from the boards, and I changed everything around so that suitable menus are placed on the places where the DM42 has yellow labels. So assigning user keys, for example, is the assign function is ASN. It is on the assign button. The custom button, there isn't a custom thing in the WP43S. So I have placed the user. What is the equivalent is the user menu or the user activation on the custom there, and so forth. You can carry on. I have matched it functionally to be on a place where you would expect it if you sitting with a DM42 in front of you and you're running the WP43 software, and you want similar functionality, or the mode. There's a mode menu as well. I've stuck that onto the modes. Fortunately, the display menu had the same name. We have a clear menu, which is CLR instead of clear, but of course that belongs on the clear. And of course I have reintroduced the last X, which disappeared from the WP43S. You would have to do recall L, which is not a train smash, but nevertheless I like the fact that it's the way that the keyboard presents it to you. I'm not trying to convert a great project into being a souped up HP42S. That's not the point. It's making the user interface so that I can operate this new tool with typed registers and real and complex types and long ints and all sorts of things that's not available on the other technologies. So the point is, I'm not knocking. I want the engine of the WP43S, and I want the user interface controlling it in a way that I'm accustomed to, and where my hardware is actually, locating the keys for that. And I've had a lot of support. There's a lot of people wanting that as well. Doesn't mean that's your final solution. You might end up buying the right thing when it gets there, but that might be another year. That's conservatively speaking. It could actually be longer. So anyway, we are. What did I want to show you? I've told you about the keyboard rearrangement. Of course, one of the things that will immediately trouble you is where's the shift keys. So we have the 43S has a yellow shift there and a blue shift there. So there's no space for that. There's no blue key. So creative thinking a bit there out of the box. So that is a single tap of the yellow key gives you, look at there where my finger is, there's the F coming out. Another tap of it gives you the G. Okay, so and you leave it for 4 seconds, it disappears. Unlike other shifts, the 43 and even the original DM42, you leave the shift in there, it stays there forever. Probably resets when it switches off. I don't know. I haven't done it that far yet, but nevertheless, that's the point. You've got a 4-second timeout, so you've got to live with that. And that's also one way to, it's the only way to clear the key selection. If you accidentally press G and you actually wanted F, what do? The default on this key, this thing is there's a home menu which is pulled up by the third click of the shift button. If you don't like that, there's an option, go switch it off, and then you would be able to just keep on cycling as FG blank, FG blank, FG blank, so that it's easy to press it again and clear it. But I like the fact that there's actually a home menu in there, which I can actually just show you straight away while we're there. So that's the first one, that's the second one. And there's the home menu popping up. What's the point of the home menu? The home menu is a little bit of a collection of bits from the mode menu, bits from the display menu, bits from the mathematical portion over here that's hidden away on a shift key that is now available on a primary key. For example, 10 to the x there. There's x square which appears there. Factorial which disappeared. There isn't a factorial, wasn't a factorial on the DM42, so there's no space for it. I had to take it off because it is on the 43S, so it's got stuck in there. So if you need it, you pull up the home menu and you have that. Those things are all found in the appropriate menus as well. But my point there was there's a couple of screens that is useful to have up front together. So that it's easy to access. You go up, that's the second home screen, just rearranges some of the things, gives you some more options, gives you the degrees, radians, grad. So you would normally go to modes to set that, but you don't have to, it's just directly there. It's a G shift, radians, there you go, and it's changed to radians over there. There's the little R, and you go back to degrees, it's changed to degrees. There's a little circle there. So I mean, the point is that these things, it's not rocket science. It's on different places, but it just collects them together so that it's easy for you to operate. So the blue, I didn't mention the blue ones. The blue ones are still there. It's just not visible. It's a bit inconvenient, but that's how the layout 2 is. It's meant to use the DM42 as is. So how to circumnavigate this problem of not knowing what the keys are. Number one, the number one thing that I often use is I have a color printout lying around on the Swiss Micros forum. I stuck a photo of how this looks with the blue in there as well. So just make a printout of that, have it handy. Don't use the blue one so often, or at least until we will start programming the calculator there's a lot of programming menus that's hidden on the blue around this area, so you would want to see them. So it's not necessarily a permanent solution, but this is the solution to see how it works now. So there are three ways. One way is you make a printout and you look what it is. The second way is you remember it. So once you know it, for example, I always remember that G7 is info. So I'll show you that. So you go that G7. That's the info screen. Info screen tells you what version software you have. That's G version. It'll tell you that's a pre-alpha version. We'll go F, G, who done it. So that's the culprits are Paulie, Walter, and Martin, and myself that stuck the WP43C user interface on top of their work. So that's the info screen. So there's another one that I also often use, and that's the extra functions that sits on G9. So G9 gives you the extra functions. None of those things are working as yet. Go up one screen, you find the official place where the parallel calculation is there. I added a little electrical engineering menu. I don't want to go into there now. There's a lot of formulas and things, so you see it as almost like an electrical engineering package, but that's on a side show that I have there. So there are things that you can do there. Most of them are not implemented as yet, but nevertheless I remember G9 is that. So you could remember the things that you often use. The thing that you don't often use, you either look up. That's the first method. The second method is remember it. The third method would be go to the home menu. That's third tab there, and then instead of going up, you're going down. The first menu down will give you over there the first 6 buttons over here. It will tell you what the first 6 buttons are. You can access them via the function keys and the normal shifts if you want to, but they happen to be arranged in the order of the keyboard that you have here. So for example, G execute would be your label function over there, and let's pick another one. G shift store would be just directly next to complex, sits the absolute value over there. Unfortunately, this button is reserved for the percentages, so I wanted the delta percentage on that one as the G function, and the third one over there next to pi would be the angle. So that's your complex angle. So that's complex size, complex angle, and so forth. So it tells you where it is. So if you've forgotten where it is, you can actually just double click and use the function key to pull it up, or it helps you remember where it is. So one button down still, I mean, that reflects you the first 2 lines. One more line gives you the next 3 lines, starting with enter. So G enter would reflect drop. So that's a drop. So if you want to drop something on the stack, G enter is your boy. So here are some menus. The black ones, of course, reflect menus. So over there would be your first one, which is complex, exponential or exponents, financial, and then you go one down. There's your info that I demoed earlier on, your constants. So that's your whole constant book of different physical constants. Your extra functions, which I've mentioned already. Your stats versus your statistical sums is the G to the converse there, and so forth. So that's the third line. If you go one down again, it tells you, I mean, that was the third lines. So one down tells you the bottom 2 lines. So of course the shift button is excluded over there. Then you get the assign, you save the setups like that. And these are more for programming. That's your loops, your tests, your stacks, your loops, stacks, your parts. That's integer part and factor, all those things that you generally use them for programming. So they grouped in this area over there. Clear stack always remains on that button. I like that. And then of course your alpha string, where we at your 3, that's your alpha strings. That's string manipulation or character manipulation really, and you won't generally use that from interactive mode on your calculator unless you're trying something out for a program in the future. But nevertheless, so that's it. So going up and down over there, that reflects. It's like an index help page or something. You could directly access. I'll do complex for you there, just as a demo. So I go G complex, goes into the complex menu. Now, this complex menu is a little bit different from the 43S. One or two menus are actually rearranged because some things I think I use complex numbers particularly much. So it's something that I know what I want, and I want things on those buttons that are very convenient. That's my real part, imaginary part. That's my size and my angle, and those other two ones are self-explanatory. So why do I have these two here? Because I don't have to shift them. So if I put input a vector or a complex vector, I can easily just directly without shift go to those things. So I'm utilizing the function keys for the benefit that they give us, an extra row of keys which we previously never had. So they've got to work for us. So therefore I rearrange these things to be a little bit more user-friendly. Maybe it's just my own mind that works better, but so be it. Give me a comment, say you want a different screen, and I'll see what I can do. So nevertheless, so off we go back, return to the place where we came from over there. So let's go to the exponents, and those are all your exponent functions. Some of them are implemented, some not. These ones aren't implemented. They're all detailed in Walter's manual, and they all work pretty well. So what did I leave out? I wanted to show you. I'll just go out of all the menus. I wanted to show you something. Let's put in there 789. I've also, again, by the way, I've just put some. I make my calculator default on 8-level stack. Is to me, without having programming available, and for a calculator that's designed in a way that really pushes direct operation. I see no point in restricting yourself to 4 levels. So mine is per default on 8 levels and complex results. I mean, you have this complex machine. I don't want the message telling you, oh, you can't calculate the square root of -1. So have a look at this. If I drop, I can use my G drop to drop a level there. You see the 9 pops out there from level 5 because I've got 8-level stack. But I want to show you another cute drop that I've devised over here. Double tap the backspace and it will drop. Single tap the backspace, it will just clear X. It just goes to a real type 0. So there you go. Double tap it though, and it actually just drops the stack every time. That's pretty neat, and it's so addictive. It's a function that's so addictive that I never use drop anymore. Of course, you'll use drop when you do a program. That's clear. You can't double tap the drop function into a program. But nevertheless, for interactive calculation, that works very well. I wanted to show you. Just make use of the opportunity to tell you. I mean, very recently, this whole sum of 3 cubes problem surfaced again when they figured out what the problem case for 42 is, and very recently last week they did the one for 3 as well. Very large numbers. It's just guessing. It's a 20-digit number that you have a cube root of. Not cube root, that you have a cube and 2 other cubes of similarly sized numbers to it, and there's not a lot of calculators that can do that. So this one does it. I have tried it. I'm going to demo. I'm going to type in all those. It's a lot of hassle to type in those numbers, but I'm going to demo the same kind of thing. I'm going to use a very ridiculous number here. I'm going to show you the power of the long end. So I'm going to get my home menu up first, because I want to use factorial. So I'm going to just take 500 factorial. It's not a number that is commonly used. Let's just use it for the demo. Okay, it's not even close to the limit of the calculator. It is that long number. It's probably 30 digits there, times 10 to the 1098. So that's a fairly huge number. That's 500 factorial, if I remember right. So what I want to show you is I want to show you that it is remembered in all precision. So I'm going to add a single 1 to it. You won't see it because it's right on the end of 1,000 odd digits. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another 500 factorial, and I'm going to subtract it from there, and what you get that one that you added. So that means it actually has every single digit up to the last one it has in there, and that's quite neat. And because of that functionality, you can easily do the sum of three cubes problems. You can't solve another one. I am convinced that you will be extremely lucky if you solve one, but you can replicate it, and you can test it, and you can show it, and that's the kind of numbers you can work with. So that's quite nice. Okay, last thing I want to do before we sign off is I want to show you how easy it is to change your calculator. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to modes over there. We're going to go one up. That's the system menu. We go double tap. There's a G, there's a little mark next to it. So G system. Go there. We go to load a different program. So number 3 is load a program. I go down and I load in the original, the latest DM42, and I just tap that, and off you go. So there you go. Takes a while, but that's fine. Okay, press the key to start, and exit key, and there you go. There you go. That's your standard DM42. I must honestly admit my calculator is never in there, so let's go back. It's just want to show you how easy it is. So go back to the setup, go back to the system menu 5, go back to the inter-system menu there 2, and then the DMCP, that's the DM control program. There you go, and then you load a different program. So when you're there, you can see I have when I release these ones on the forum pages, you'll find that I always release the numbers so that you can't confuse. Those are the ones as I've released them, subversion 9, 11, 12, and that unnumbered one is of course just the internal one, hasn't been released yet. There you go. So the same thing happens. You just press erasing it. And we go and go at exit, and then now it tells you that this is a foreign program. You're going to break the whole thing. Don't worry, you won't break it. If it does crash, you just flip it around, use a pin to reset it properly, and off you go. Be warned, your flash will be gone when you do that, probably, and so make sure there's nothing on your flash that's not copied somewhere else, and that's all. That's the only thing that can happen. So don't have, that means if you have your DM42 plus your whole setup file, just save it as a setup file, save it on your laptop, make sure you have it in case you crash your disk. So doesn't happen. It has happened twice with me but I flash these things multiple times per day. And it's happened twice, and it's never happened because of the program that I load. It's happened because of a communication failure between the calculator and my Mac. It's never happened when I flash from Windows. Maybe a Mac thing. Nevertheless, just be sure that you can live with your flash disk crashing. Okay, so there you go. You're back there. So there we go.